Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Education Lady podcast. We're going to be right back with our tech guests. But first, as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, you've heard me say before, these are all companies I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I really recommend that you check them out. So take the next 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Tech Tuesday segment, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Athletic Surveys for their support. You know, athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group so you can hear their concerns and hopefully address them. But they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that supports your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. We also want to say thank you to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. Their team is going to have you set up and selling your tickets online, not just for athletic events, but things like school plays and concerts, school dances, even graduation. And here's the best part. Every school gets assigned a dedicated client success manager that's going to have provide you with hands-on support every step of the way. That's hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Tremendously versatile, and the customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to get started. Sidelineinteractive.com. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. It's very affordable. It's just 20 months, totally online. My assistant AD got his master's through Ohio University. And he also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at the same time at no extra charge. That's ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, our parents just love the Huddle platform, and you will too. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Home Campus. You've heard me say before, Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day. The scheduling, the rosters, results, communication is all great, but their athletic eligibility and clearance platform is out of this world. It's a game changer. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's it, homecampus.com. We also want to thank Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. It's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. And whether it's a social media post to acknowledge a big win or an entire newsletter to let your constituents know about all the great things you're doing, the Gipper team will have you creating world-class content in seconds. It's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. And whether it's a wall-mounted unit or a floor model, these are great ways to tell your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. And we want to thank SNAP Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. Coaches loved it, parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. Go to snapraise.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. Start raising funds today. Snapraise.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got a great show today. We've got an old friend and a new friend with us. First, I want to introduce Chris Wojdyla. He is an account representative for SNAP. You hear me talk about SNAP Raise every single episode as a product that we use. Chris is going to tell us about the SNAP app and a lot more. Joining him is our good friend Colin Fegeley. Regular listeners to the podcast will recognize that name. Colin is a certified master athletic administrator. He's the director of athletics at Green Level High School in North Carolina, and probably one of the, I would say, top athletic directors for using various apps and technology to help his students, his coaches, promote his program. And he's going to talk about how he uses the SNAP app at Green Level. So, Chris, welcome to Tech Tuesday.
Thanks for having me, Jake. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here and always excited to be here alongside, as you mentioned, such a forward-thinking and progressive ADs such as Colin. I get the opportunity to talk to athletic directors all day long in my role at SNAP, talking about our enterprise products, as we like to call them. Uh, as you mentioned, very familiar with the fundraising side of things. This mobile app really helps ADs kind of, bring their programs to the 21st century in putting all the information that anybody would need in the palm of their community's hand. And every AD that I get a chance to talk to who's interacted with Colin has nothing but great things to say about him. So I'm really excited to be here with him this afternoon.
Well, we're going to hear from you in just a second. I do want to welcome Colin in. Colin, it's always great to catch up with you. We got to talk briefly at the national conference. Um, I am going to throw this nugget out. Colin is one of our most downloaded episode contributors of all time. We've had over 1,000 segments in our 4 years, and Colin's in the top 20. However, at last check, he was still one download behind his friendly rival. So, we're not going to mention him now, but Colin knows exactly who I'm talking about. Colin, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Jake, for having me. Chris, great to see you. And I do know exactly who you're talking about, and we're working on a way to right that wrong here over the next couple of weeks for sure. But great to be on. Thank you for the kind words. We're only able to do what we do here at Green Level because of great companies like Snap who are able to provide us with such awesome technology that has really just been an incredible advancement in our athletic program for our families, our community, and our student athletes. So looking forward to the conversation today.
Oh, no, absolutely. Chris, let's go and start with you. For our listeners, just give them a little bit of a background, your background in sports and athletics and, what you do at Snap that's going to benefit athletic directors.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like most folks, played sports in high school. I ran cross country and track on a pretty awesome program in the suburbs of Chicago. We were state medalists every year. I had a chance to be there. The Took a different direction with athletics after high school. I started getting into golf and played on a very cannot diminish this professional career enough. Very small career playing on some mini tours that lasted all of about 6 months before I realized that those guys play a completely different game. And shooting 68 with your buddies is not the same as shooting 68 with the guys who go on to compete against Tiger Woods. But anyhow, I've been in tech for the better part of 10 years now and have been with Snap for two of those, getting to serve great athletic directors and communities like Collins with our mobile app that helps make everything that folks are going to a website and getting directed to 6 or 7 other websites for all in one place in the palm of their hand. For better or worse, we've even seen it in some of the recent policies that schools have made, not allowing students to have phones during the school day. Everybody, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, maybe fortunately for me, lives on their phones. And so bringing all this information into the palms of the hands of your community members, your parents, your student athletes, and maybe even sometimes your rivals who are keeping tabs on you, wanting to make sure that if they're looking over the fence, that they've got the same toys in their backyard that you do, and showing them how to really run a top class athletic program.
We're going to let Colin share how the many ways that he uses the SNAP app at his school. But I'm curious. For me, we use the fundraising app, and it was just fantastic. And that's one of the reasons you guys are a partner, because I believe so much in how effective that can be for athletic directors. As somebody coming in, let's say not as an athletic director, what are some ways that you have seen in your time with the company that you have seen athletic directors and athletic programs really benefit from some of the features of the SNAP app?
Yeah, I mean, with the benefits of just having everything in one spot, reducing the amount of phone calls that, guys and gals like Mr. Colin have to field, answering questions on where to find things. These athletic directors already, and if my boss is listening, they work a heck of a lot harder than I do, and really care about their kids and their communities, and anything we can do to help make their lives easier is always a huge plus for us, and more importantly for them, giving them time back with their families and getting more time back to go out and watch games instead of sit in your office and update stuff on the various websites and platforms that states require them to update and upload information into.
And that's such a great point. You brought up the hard work. I think all ADs, they're just kind of wired, with a work ethic and to work hard. But the expression, don't work harder, work smarter, that's where the apps and the technology can really help them maximize their work ethic. Great point. Colin, we've already sang your praises as a leader in educational-based athletics technology. What are some of the ways that you have used the SNAP apps and all the different features to benefit, again, your students, your coaches, your program?
Yeah, absolutely, Jake. First of all, let me say we love the app. There are very few things that I feel like we can do as building athletic directors that are just universally applauded. The app has been just an incredible addition to our athletic program. I get probably more compliments about the app and its features than I do about just about anything that we've done in the last couple of years. So that's certainly kind of a gold star from our parents and our community members for sure. The app is great, and Chris kind of hit on this. It really is just a one-stop shop for all things green level athletics. It's one thing to have an athletics website, which we do, that's robust and we keep updated, but the app is great because literally at the palm of our parents' hands, they can find schedules, they can find rosters, they can purchase their tickets, they can get live streaming information, they can pull up their fan guide, they can pull up our little in-house podcast that we do on the weekly. They can go to our Booster Club website and purchase a Green Level Athletics t-shirt. It truly is a one-stop shop for our athletic community, and there is nothing that can't be found in the app that our families, our student athletes would have access to. Everything from student athlete registration to important documents, physical paperwork, links out to our state association website, all of our social media accounts, maps and directions to both our facilities, whether they're on campus or off for our visitors, but also if we're perhaps traveling in the playoffs or something of that nature to maybe a school that's a bit more unfamiliar to our families, the ability to just click on a school and pull up a Google or an Apple map. It just really provides some great tools for our families. Two of the things that I love the most are the push notification feature, the ability for us after a big game, or perhaps we hired a new coach, or we want to wish our families happy winter break, whatever it might be, but to be able to push out a notification to our nearly 3,000 active app users is pretty great, because that's a very active form of communication. It's not an email. It's not even a text message. You're getting it on your phone. And, people really like that. If we have a kid break a record, we had a young man score his 1,000th point in basketball the other night. We pushed something out about his achievement. That's really cool. And it brings a lot of people into our athletic community that otherwise might not be in touch with the basketball program. But hey, now we know that Izzy just scored his 1,000th point. And next time we see him, maybe even his teacher, second period the next day might say, hey, I heard about what happened last night. Congratulations. Like, all that really matters a lot to us. And then it also has in the app a geofencing feature, which is really cool. So as long as when you download the app, as a user, you allow for geo services and geolocation, we can do things like let's say we're in North Carolina, so we get storms, in August and September, some big lightning storms. And Jake, about that being down in Florida. So if we're looking at the radar, and we can pretty much tell you, hey, in the next 20, 30 minutes, we're going to have a thunderstorm here roll through our Friday night football game. We can send out a push notification in the app, and we can just target people that are in the stadium and say, hey, here's a situation. You're going to hear an announcement soon. Please go to your cars, seek shelter. We're going to be looking to delay the game. Follow us on social media for updates. And instead of, that going to some guy that's sitting in his living room, it wouldn't really impact. That can just go to the folks that are inside that kind of bubble that we built around our stadium. So this really cool technology that, quite honestly, sometimes I feel like I've only scratched the surface of. So that's just some broad brushstrokes of some really great stuff we're doing at Green Level with the app, and schools are doing across the country. Because like others, I download other schools' apps, and I do a little spy on myself to say, hey, how are you using this, or how are you doing that? Because we want ours to be the best it can be.
Well, I'm going to stick with you, Colin, here for this next question. A lot of athletic directors, and again, I am a lot older than you are. A lot of those older ADs might be a little nervous about embracing new apps and new technology. How hard was it? I know the answer. How hard was it for you to embrace and utilize this technology that SNAP provides with the SNAP app?
Yeah, Chris and his team were fantastic. From the moment we adopted it, I felt very well wrapped in support. I certainly had some questions about inputting data on the back end and the design of the app, and they helped us through all of those questions and processes, and we were able to get it launched really quickly. At this point, I have 2 or 3 other folks within our department. We have an English teacher here at Green Level who also does a lot of our PA work, and he's our quasi sports information director. He has login credentials to the app. He helps update things with scores and in our news pages. I have a student assistant who will get in there and help me upload rosters. So we've really made it a team effort. And I stress this to ADs across the country. I stressed it when I presented in Austin. There's so much talent on your campus. And I can say that universally. There is so much talent on your campus. I don't care if you're at a school of 3,000 or a school of 300, there is talent on your campus. And whether it be a generational thing or whatever it might be, there are students, there are coaches, there are teachers, there are members of your parent community that certainly can help you with a lot of these things, and probably want to. Maybe they just might not know how to ask, or maybe you don't know how to ask. But I just encourage folks to surround themselves with help. It doesn't have to be an all you thing, but I've certainly carved out a few minutes each morning just to essentially, do some app updates, just like I do with our social media posts and our game day posts. I have a little morning routine with my checklist, but I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes every morning, just making sure everything's aligned in the app, and updating results from the previous night, and adding any additional news stories, and setting up any notifications that I want to be sent out. So some really cool features. And lastly, one thing I'll add too is the app provides a lot of room for sponsor space. So if you have some sponsors who are, interested in the analytics of knowing that, hey, 3,000 of our, community members here in our athletic program have this app. They're using it every single day to look up schedules and results and everything. And when you open this app, I would love for your logo to be on that splash screen, right when they open it up, to get those eyeballs every day. That's meaningful to a lot of companies. And we've been able to actually monetize our app in a sense, because we're selling ad space in it. So another way that, you can, continue to enhance your program, and also, cut costs.
Well, those are two great points. The one about, this does not have to be something that you're taking on solo as an AD. Certainly, you're going to have oversight, but you have faculty members, you have students that are sports, geeks, if you will. Maybe they're not on a team, maybe they are, but they would love to be involved with your program and they can take that off of your plate, if you will. Great stuff. And then the monetizing, the using those sponsors, great idea for any school, small town school or big school. Chris, you heard Colin share a couple of ways that they use the platform. What are some things that you would like our listeners to hear? And I guess, what's the process once they call you up and say, "Hey, we want to go"? How does it all unfold?
Yeah. So, and Colin's being a little modest too, is one of the recent push notifications from last spring. Their lacrosse team took home the state title, and I sit in South Carolina, and that showed up right on my phone. For somebody like myself that, covers a large swath of the country and supporting folks with these apps from Virginia all the way around the East Coast into the Gulf Coast, to Louisiana. Um, it's a great way for me to stay connected to those communities that I serve, but in adding on to, hey, how we've seen others, take advantage of the app and reaching a larger audience. If grandma and grandpa or aunt and uncle live on the other side of the country, I mean, with how we've seen the rise of remote work and people getting scattered all over the place, it's a great way to stay connected to the community you might have been from or a community you have family in from thousands of miles away. So just something really cool. And as Colin had also mentioned, the ability to monetize the app. When you talk about process, one of the first things I like to suggest to folks is, hey, I'm not telling you to stop doing the outfield signs or the gym signs. Please, by all means, do that. We were all at the national conference last month, and I don't think I spoke to any athletic director that said, "Ah, no, that's okay, Chris. We already have too much money in our athletic department budget. We don't need to be doing that." So it's a great way to kind of complement and enhance that. Another thing we hear a lot on the sponsorship front is, hey, we're in a smaller community. We're hitting up these same businesses all the time. This is something new you can offer them. This is something that makes it easier to go, ask for somebody who's already given you some money to the program and already supporting your program. Like, hey, any chance you'd be interested in upping your contribution by X amount, and in return, we have this new way to get more eyeballs on your business. So yeah, those are some of the big things that we see in the communities that we serve. But anyway, back to your question, kind of a long-winded answer there. How does this process start? Well, the process starts with either me or one of my teammates here across the country that serve our communities in getting people set up and educating them on how all of this works. What kind of partners we integrate with, who we can have brought in here. The way I like to kind of phrase it to folks is, if you've got a web link to it, we can have it brought in here. So it's that true one-stop shop. And then we'll walk through a conversation. It takes about 30-45 minutes of, hey, this is what other schools are doing. We've got over 300 of these apps nationwide, and no two schools are using them in the same way. The tiles are not in the same order, or they don't have the same content behind them. So we'll strategize together what makes the most sense for you. And then from there, as Colin mentioned, we've got a great support team with folks a heck of a lot smarter than myself. There's a reason I don't build these apps, and we've got a great team that will help do that for you and bring that vision that you and I, or you and one of my colleagues discuss on that introductory call to life. And from there, it's about a 2 to 4 week build process, and we'll provide all the ongoing training and resources that you need to help enable the folks that are helping you out in your school, as well as, let's be realistic here. In high school athletics, we do see quite a bit of turnover from time to time, and we don't want, if a support person of yours goes to another school and you have somebody else come in that has a similar set, we want to make sure we get them brought up to speed as quickly as possible on, how to work with your app, and, want you to know that we're there for you and you're not hung out to dry at any step of the process.
Well, again, I appreciate you walking our listeners through the process. It sounds, ridiculously easy, and I'm sure it is. Colin, well, we got you here, and I know it's the middle of the season and everything. Anything else that you can share with our listeners if they're not already convinced to call up Chris and his team to add the Snap app to their roster?
Yeah, two things. I mean, just even for me as the athletic director of the school, the app has almost become indispensable for me. I just had a conversation 45 minutes before this. Somebody was asking about, hey, when do we play so and so? And I said, oh, yeah. I don't remember offhand. Let's pull it up. It's in the app. It's in the app. So when you think about how us as consumers, just I guess interact with businesses and companies that we do business with or frequent. I mean, you could look at my phone. I mean, it's apps, right? I mean, I have 4 pages full of apps. Probably could delete a few of them, but that's kind of how we interact. If I need to buy something, I'm going to my Amazon app. If I'm going to go for a run, I'm opening up my Apple Fitness app. So why would high school athletics be any different? If I want to know about green level athletics, I'm going to open my green level athletics app. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. Another neat feature, and this is another way you can continue to build relationships with your community. There's a section in the app called My Game Day Offers. So one of the neat things about the app is, and this can take some creativity with your corporate sponsors or your local business partners, but just imagine something in the app where you have an arrangement with a local business. Let's say it's a fast food place, and they have said to you, "Hey, every time the football team wins on Friday night, we're going to do a free French fry." Okay. For your fans. Well, the app has a space called My Game Day Offers that essentially you as the, app master, if you will, can control. So the football team gets the win on a Friday night, you kind of go in on the back end, you activate the My Game Day offer, and then every app holder now has a coupon on their phone from the local fast food restaurant that they can take and show at the screen and say, hey, Green Level Football won tonight. I'd like to redeem my fry. And they can just tap the screen, redeem, and there's your fry, right? So there's so many different things you can do with it. Like I said, I feel like I've even barely scratched the surface with some of the different features that the app can offer. And like Chris said, the great part about it is really it's almost a kind of a holding site for all the different technologies that we're using. So if it has a web link, you can link out to it. So we're using our app to link out to our ticketing provider, our digital streaming provider, our state high school association website, our athletics photographer and his smug mug page. I mean, you name it. We're just essentially bringing people to one spot to then redirect them very easily to others that would take them so much longer or harder to find on our athletics website. And from an AD perspective, it has cut down so much on those emails that we all know, and I'm happy to respond to them. But the app has made it so much easier for us to say, oh, that's in the app. Oh, did you check the app? Oh, have you downloaded our app? That's in the app. And once that education process takes place within your community and your school, it really cuts down on a lot of those emails like, hey, where do I find? How do I get to? It's in the app. And that's worked really well for us.
Yeah, and those you bring up a great point. Those emails, we're always going to get them, but they can turn into time suckers. Those phone calls and training, coaching. Your community. That hey, it's on the app. What a great point. Chris, is there anything new that's just come out or that's going to be coming out you can kind of tease our listeners with about the app if they're not already encouraged to enough to give you a call?
Yeah. So the thing Colin mentioned about communicating out to your community with those push notifications, we are in the process of putting a bow on the ability to have two-way communication within the app. So a lot of, athletic directors find that, hey, we've got the football team communicates with this communication app, the soccer team is using this group chat app, and somebody else might just use a big email list. Well, now we have a secure way for you to communicate with all of those teams in one spot. The athletic director will have oversight into that to make sure that, nobody is or no parent or coach is, getting a little over the line on some of their responses, or God forbid if you end up in a scenario where it's a he said, she said, you've got all of the red receipts there to show, hey, this is where the conversation kind of, lost track here. You're able to have oversight into all that. I mean, student data privacy and communication like that is the security of it is always on everybody's minds these days. And so it's just a new way to make it all in one spot to make life easier for the athletic directors, the coaches, and the parents. Now they don't have to have, two or three different group chat apps on their phone in the interest of consolidation.
Again, making it easier for your parents, your students, your coaches. I think that's one thing that any athletic director can get excited about. Um, Colin, if one of our athletic director listeners wanted to reach out, find out a little bit more about how they can start using the app, or just pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the best way is if you want to shoot me a DM. We're very active on X and on Instagram. Our handle is at G_L_athletics. My email address is on our athletics website, but it is cfegeley, Fegeley, at wcpss.net. Would be happy to answer any questions you have. And I would suggest if you are thinking about an app for your athletics department, go ahead and download ours. It's free. You can download it from the App Store or the Google Play Store and just check it out and see if it's something that you think would be good for your program. But I would be happy to answer any questions you have about ours and some of the best practices that we've used. And I would love to have a conversation.
And Chris, if our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, and especially if they want to sign up and get the app at their school, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, if you're going through social, LinkedIn, it's always a great way. My last name, first name Chris, last name Wojdy as in Delta YLA, bit of a mouthful. And then the same, if you want to just email Chris dot the last name I just listed off there at snapraise.com. Happy to field any questions. And if I'm not the guy you need to be talking to, happy to point you in the right direction of who you should be talking to. And thankfully, we've got, in addition to Colin's gracious offer of talking through people, we've got a wonderful network of ADs who are always happy to share wisdom if you're looking for somebody that's maybe a little bit more local to you. But as we've kind of uncovered here, Colin's one of the best, and really appreciate all of his support.
Well,
I appreciate that, Chris. And oh, sorry, Jake. Just one thing that just came to mind when I was first introduced to the app. That's I did exactly as Chris said, reached out to Snap, but I also downloaded another great app. Brian Knobb over at Marvin Ridge High School in the Charlotte area. He's our NCAA state president this year, and he was my inspiration. And when we started building our app, I said, "Hey, I'd like to do this like Marvin Ridge," and then we put our own tweaks on it. So shout out to Brian. But that's a really great way to get started.
Oh, and that's just another great example of how athletic directors, borrow, steal great ideas from other ADs. Colin, always great to catch up with you. Thanks for sharing. Chris, great platform for our listeners. Reach out to Chris, sign up. Anybody that signs up and mentions this Tech Tuesday segment, I'll send you a free copy of the Athletic Director's Toolbox. So again, we'll try to incentivize that. But the app speaks for itself. And again, even if it didn't, the fact that Colin is using it, that should be reason enough for any athletic director to pick it up. Gentlemen, thanks again for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank you,
having
Jake.
us.
Okay. For our listeners, just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of every segment to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you tuning in. We do Tech Tuesday just about every single week, and every day we try to share stories and best practices. So come back and join us on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, before we go, once again, we want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors, including Snap. We primarily used it for the Snap Raise, the fundraising app, but it's got a lot of other things you should be using. We want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame, to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack, to Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables and Video Boards, to Home Campus, go to homecampus.com, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We want to say thanks to Huddle, Also want to thank Gipper for their support, and we want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. So appreciate you listening to another segment of Tech Tuesday. Come back again for the next segment of the Educational AD Podcast.